Alright folks, welcome to another beer review. We're venturing over once again to Rivington, and this is a can of the Dilated Particles, which is part of an ongoing series of coffee stouts brewed in collaboration or using coffee from Blossom Coffee Roasters when it wants to focus. There we go. I have had one of the beers in this series, and I actually looked it up before I started recording, but as soon as that camera came on, completely forgot its name. So I do apologise. Like something void space ratio or spatio, something along those lines. I think they've got a, can't even remember what the word is now, with stars and galactics. Oh my god, you know what I mean. Yeah, anyway, moving swiftly on. See, I think they're all sort of like science space themed. Astro, oh my god, words absolutely fail me as per usual on these reviews. But it's a coffee stout, and I like coffee stouts. And I had actually intended on keeping hold of this for Christmas, because I was going to do a 12 coffee beers of Christmas series, which I still may do, but I might just wait until closer to the run up to Christmas, because the last thing I want is coffee to fade in the beers. But yeah, so I thought I'll crack this open now and we'll see what we get. So the coffee used in this is from Ethiopia, and it's Shoondhisa. I'm not sure. I know that's not how you pronounce it. But yeah, Dilated Particles. An all-new coffee stout brewed with the help of our mates from Blossom Coffee Roasters, who selected the coffee name beans from Ethiopia for this recipe, giving bright, juicy and vibrant notes. So yeah, Rivington. Obviously kicking up a little bit of a storm, because as I'm recording this, they've just released their Evil Dead beers. And they've got, I think they've got a new tap room in Preston city centre as well, or like a little pop-up going on. So yeah, an Overtone in Preston. Still don't fully understand how a brewery from Scotland is opening up a tap room in England. Oh wait, there is a Scottish brewery that did that multiple times, and then completely sold the soul to the point where you can get free beer or money off beer using your Tesco club card in their bars. We won't name the brewery, of course, even though I've got no malice against said brewery at all. In fact, I had a really nice coffee stout from them not too long ago. So anyway, we're not here to talk about Scottish breweries at all, really, considering that Rivington aren't from Scotland. But yeah, lovely premises, their main sort of like brewery tap room, which is an interesting adventure in itself to get there if you choose to go by foot. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Rivington. I think they're absolutely knocking it out of the park, and considering that I live like a 20-minute bus ride from Wigan, you do find quite a few of their beers in some of the pubs, more the like craftier side of things, which Wigan itself has got some really good cask and some really good craft places as well. But yeah, so 5% ABV on this one. Don't know why I've made a reference to that, because I said it was 5% ABV when I introduced the beer. And beer in the glass then, and looking very, very nice in this balanced glass. I'm so relieved that this stem hasn't snapped yet. Although it's never the stems with glasses like this that break, it's the upper actual, what's that part? What would you, in the anatomy of a stemmed glass, what would you call that part? Stem, base, glass, rim. Even though that's not a separate part, that's part of the overarching body of the... Shut up, Peter, and just look at the beer. Looking very nice indeed. Pretty much, I'm going to say, jet black. That's what I'm getting with this. Yeah, looking very, very nice indeed. So let's see what we get on the nose. Oh yeah. Coffee is definitely there. Big, big coffee aroma. I've never burnt a cherry before. That sounds like the worst euphemism ever. But the fruitiness from the coffee, it's like a burnt fruitiness almost. Now, as much as I absolutely love coffee and can't function without it, when it comes to specific coffee beans from specific regions and blah, 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 I wouldn't be able to tell you really. I literally have to go off the tasting notes and then what I actually get from the flavour of the beer itself. But yeah, so don't expect any like really good tasting notes on the coffee itself. But what I am getting, beautiful dark chocolate, like an 80% cacao. A little bit biscuity. There's a slight sort of like char going back to the burnt cherry, which sounds like that'd be like, what's that company that does the really expensive soaps, but they use the same guy who used to promote Manscaped? It's probably part of the same company, but they've got like really interesting sounding soaps. American company. I looked it up. It's so expensive for soap. Do you know what I mean? What are they called now? They've just done like a Marvel box. But yeah, it's like the Manscaped, Manscaped of soaps. Which, by the way, if Manscaped ever want to promote me, then please feel free to get in touch. And if you think this is bushy, we won't go there. Nobody has for quite a while, actually, to be fair. But anyway, yeah, if Manscaped wants to ever sponsor a beer review who hardly gets any reviews, then I'm your man. And not just because I actually need to buy a new shaver. That's not the reason why this is here. This is because in my 34 years of existence, I've never been able to grow facial hair. And some would say, well, you still can't. That's just like a tatty, thinning mess. But this is the closest I've ever actually come to having a proper beard, even though it just grows like that and doesn't have any shape. I should trim it really. So Manscaped, please, 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 please get in touch. Sasquatch soap or something like that, I think it's called. I can't remember. Anyway, that's very specific references. But then if you spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos and, you know, content creators who actually put a lot of money and effort into their own content and get sponsorships, you'll know who I'm talking about. Maybe I should get one of those subscriptions to BetterHelp. Anyway. Or if Liquid Death wants to sponsor me. I actually had Liquid Death. We're not talking about beer at all now, are we? I actually had the lime Liquid Death sparkling water, and it's actually pretty damn good, but it's just sparkling water. As you would expect, just great branding, genius marketing. And of course, people want to have it because they watch a lot of American comedians' podcasts. So, anyway. It's almost like he's trying to whore himself out to get a channel sponsorship. Anyway. But yeah, it smells absolutely wonderful. It really, really does. There's a little bit of like a really stark, savoury licorice note. Very, very nice. The coffee is just proper. Not like overly in your face, but in your face. But then again, not really in your face. But do you know what I mean? It's a prominent aroma. As you would expect. Anyway, shut up and drink it. Cheers. Oh, yeah. I can already tell you now that there will be people who have drank this and gone, oh, it's too thin. It's a 5% stout at the end of the day. The body is what you would expect and want for a beer like this. Still has a little bit of oiliness though to it. There's not really much sweetness to this, which I like. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love like really indulgent, decadent stouts because they're a real treat. But first of all, it's a very well brewed stout. I'd imagine the base beer in this series is the same. They just use different varieties of coffee beans. It'd be interesting to taste, excuse me, the base stout on its own. They may well have already just released that. They might do it on a semi-regular basis. I'm not too sure. But it's a really good quality, yet simple, calculated stout. So the fundamental is there. Because a lot of the time you don't half get the impression when a brewery brings out a really silly imperial stout or whatever, or stout in general, you sometimes think, yeah, but you can really cover your tracks by throwing stuff into a beer. I'm not saying breweries do that, but then again, if you just want a simple stout that you can play with, basically, and do different things, do rotationals such as this. It reminds me of that, I don't know if Overtone, it's going back to a kind of Preston-ish connection. I don't know if Overtone still do their sort of like seasonal special coffee release, but I remember ages ago, I think it was during lockdown, when I was doing a lot more orders direct from breweries, because a lot of breweries were doing, because they were, you know, they needed to keep customers coming back, we're doing a lot of offers on like mixed cases and stuff, and having more incentives when it comes to making beer orders. But I remember I bought a 4-pack of like an IPA that was brewed with coffee, and it was terrific. And I've not seen them do another one. They've probably rebrewed that beer or brewed different variations of that beer loads of times since then. But why am I bringing this up? I don't know. I just like, I really enjoy coffee and beers. And it's, well, every coffee beer will remind you of another coffee beer, or coffee beer in general, won't it, really? So it's a completely devoid point. But a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of a dark, biscuity character. Slight char, harsh smokiness to it, which I'm a big fan of. As I said, quite a sticky, oily mouthfeel considering how low-bodied it is. I don't want to say thin. Slight dark fruit bitterness on the back end. There is a slight fruitiness to the coffee in this. They've described it as being juicy and vibrant. Bright, juicy and vibrant. I wouldn't necessarily use those words to describe the flavours from the coffee. Obviously, again, I know next to fuck all about coffee, aside from I like drinking it. But it's a beautiful coffee character, beautiful coffee flavour. It really, really is. If only I bought coffee like I bought beer. Because I am running very low on coffee beans at the moment. And I think there's part of me that actually really wants to start getting into coffee a lot more, not just the consumption of it, but like trying to pick out flavours and what this coffee from this region would bring to the table that other coffee varieties might not bring. I like the idea of like terroir when it comes to beers and stuff like that. Like you can, classic example, this is the American version of this hop. This is the Austrian version of this hop. Let's see what differences there are. And that's why I like beers like this, where, first of all, fundamentally, it's a wonderful coffee stout. Gets top marks in terms of being a coffee stout for me personally. But I also like the fact that they're collaborating with a coffee roaster, supplier, coffee shop. I'm not too sure really about Blossom. I will look into them now. Coffee roasters. And I don't know, I think a stout is a really good way to play with coffee. And then when you've got a series like this, where it's the same beer, just a different coffee variety, it's really interesting. It's almost like a little bit of an education in itself if you want to invest your time into looking into it and researching. But yeah, I'd say a beer like this interests me more than a rotational single hop series. And yeah, a remarkably wonderful coffee stout. And not all stouts have to be chewy, gloopy, intensely sweet. They can just be nice and simple, yet flavoursome, and really showcasing a high quality flavoursome coffee in itself. Like I said, slight dark fruits. There's a little bit of a savoury nut. There's burnt flavours that I'm getting from this, that I'm really enjoying. And yeah, fantastic stuff. I don't know how it compares to the last one I had in this series, because that was quite a while ago now. I'm scratching my hip, not my arse. But yeah, it's a beer for me. So I'm always 9 times out of 10 going to be overly positive about a coffee beer. Unless it's not a good coffee beer, then I'll just tell you it's not a good coffee beer. But this really is. Picked this up from Behemoth. And yeah, if you see it, pick it up. If you see any others in this series, then I'd highly recommend it. Obviously, if you like coffee, you're probably going to gravitate towards beers like this anyway. And yeah, I'm glad I've opened it now instead of waiting another month and a bit. Well, yeah, month and a bit. No, nearly 2 months till Christmas now. Jesus Christ. Where has the time gone? I definitely know where the pounds have gone. Right on my stomach. Yeah. I sometimes hear myself after I've just spoken and I think, what are you talking about, you absolute mess of a human being? But we're not all perfect, are we? Everyone's individual. Everyone's weird in their own way. Who wants to be normal anyway? I'd like to try it once, maybe, but yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, absolute triumph there from Rivington with Dilated Particles in collaboration with Blossom Coffee Roasters. Links to both Rivington and Blossom in the description. My brother would like that because he's a massive fan of the band Blossoms, who, not really my thing, although they're what they did with Rick Astley covering Smith songs at Glastonbury was just top tier musical entertainment. And long live Rick Astley. But yeah, so links down below to both of them. I might actually, if anybody's interested, find out a bit more information about the coffee that's been used. If I remember to do so, I will put it in. That's That's what she said. And I'll also, if I remember, will try and include my review of the last beer that I had in this series. Don't know how many they've done since then. But yeah, I'm all for it. I'm here for it. This is a beer for me. Rivington Blossom. Fantastic collaboration. Right up my coffee street, that. Coffee street sounds like a euphemism as well. And hey, if you're into that sort of stuff, who am I to judge as long as it's consensual? Anyway, cheers for watching. If you've tried it or any of the other beers in this series or any other coffee beers that you're a big fan of, or if you hate coffee beers, then let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. My mouth seems to be unnaturally moving as I'm speaking. Maybe there's like obviously a bit of a delay, like a minute delay in between me opening my mouth and seeing myself talking on camera. That's actually really quite distracting. But yeah, 21 minutes of utter tripe. Clueless Drinkers back. Thank you for watching. You all take care. Stay safe. And I'm going to play some Call of Duty because I'm a fucking man-child. Manscaped, get in touch now.